When you dream big, what does big mean to you? So, you're asking them a question about, what is a big dream of yours? But they might be like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But then you think, well, what does the word big mean to you? And so it's like the next layer of questions. I think it does help foster that conversation.
So good.
So then, there's some others, I'll probably put them in our show notes and things, but it's the open-ended question. Searching for that open-ended question, you're going to get a lot more information, especially, and thought-provoking.
Hi, Diane.
Hi, Leigh Ann.
How are
you?
Welcome
to the Well Grounded Podcast. We are so excited to be back in action in the studio, and we are excited to bring you our next episode. And what is that about today?
Today, we are talking about good ideas.
Yes.
So we are continuing the All Things Good series.
Yes.
Hope you're having
3.
a great summer.
Yes.
And we just really, there's a lot of the tension that we're in is the lighthearted, the sweet things in life, and there's the bitter, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of a bittersweet.
Yes.
But we are really leaning in this season with a variety of topics and episodes to really kind of analyze from different angles the goodness of God.
Yes.
And that He does weave it all together for our good because He is good.
Yes.
And so today we have just a really fun topic that we are going to be, some of these things are things that are coming from our experience, and some of these things are things that we're like, we wish we knew that when we were young
Very true.
moms.
Yeah.
So we want to share the kind of the latest research on some things and kind of jump into that.
The theme this season with Romans 8:28 has truly been remarkable. The feedback that we've gotten from some of our listeners, if you were one to listen to the top 10 verses, we got so many great verses that you all shared with us, and we just really appreciate that. And if you haven't found us on Instagram, make sure you find us on Instagram and also now on Facebook and TikTok. So
Well Grounded Podcast.
We are covering those social media platforms just so that we can stay connected with you. We want to make sure that you can be connected with us. And as always, you can listen to us on Apple, Spotify, and any other platform out there.
There's a lot of other ones.
And also YouTube. So if you really want to see us and
we're
hear
pretty
us.
colorful this summer.
Yes.
It's pretty bright and sunny. You really
want
want to watch the YouTube and make a little comment while you're on there.
Right.
And follow and subscribe and all the things. So,
Yes. It's very fun.
The other thing we haven't mentioned in a while that I'm listening to almost every day is the Well Grounded worship playlist.
Spotify playlist.
We have a Spotify playlist of that Diane and I just both threw in kind of our latest, greatest worship songs that we've been listening to. Just encouragement. Just if you're like, I'm kind of tired of all the stuff I've been listening to, put on our playlist and just connect with us there.
Yeah, you can find that on Spotify, and we'll put the link in the show notes, and also we'll put that up on our Instagram feed as well.
And you'll be listening to, how it says join a... What is it? How you join a party? Anyway, listen together, whatever.
Yeah.
Spotify, help me out.
Yes.
But you'll be listening to what I'm listening to.
It is. It's a
I'm
lot
literally
of fun.
in there. So
it's a lot of fun.
Really good. So
we put that together, especially after planning and just thinking about all the things that we wanted to share this season. And as we get into more and more topics for our season of All Things Good.
Yes. We just connecting it together, taking kind of a reset this summer. And it's neat. I've really, really enjoyed the variety.
Yeah.
This season, if you think an episode is not for you, listen to it anyway.
Sure.
And then go to the next one because it's going to be for you.
And it's very different.
Yeah,
every
they
episode.
There is a
well
good
thought of, and we really want, like you said, to give that variety for our listeners. So we're excited. And before we get started today, we're going to have our latte moment.
What's in my mug?
So if you can see this, you probably can't smell it on YouTube, but this today is a flat.
This is really cute. I'm going to take a little picture of this while you're doing it.
It's a honey almond
this is adorable.
Flat white. So I've been trying to learn a little bit more about coffee drinks since we have these latte moments and trying to figure out
I'm getting you
exactly
moment.
what this is. And so a flat white is literally something that people order all around the world. Mm-hmm. It's kind of just a coffee that is usually an espresso, an espresso.
Yes, you're doing good.
And then it is milk that is froth. Now, this recipe is almond milk. and you add honey as you're brewing the coffee so that it melts in the bottom of your glass. You can do any kind of coffee. So I made yours truly
full-leaded
and bold taste.
We have
and
mine
is
each.
Low octane. So it is definitely
decaf for Diane. D for decaf. D for Diane.
But it's really 3 ingredients.
L for Leigh Ann and loaded.
Yeah, right. 3 ingredients. You've got the coffee, you've got honey, and you've got the almond milk. So you are supposed to froth the milk, and I have my fantastic milk frother that my sister-in-law gave me.
It's so worth it to get a frother. I'm enjoying mine too.
It is. So it is very fun. So cheers. Clink. Yes.
Latte moment. Thank you all. Try these. There, of course, Diane always shares the recipes in the show notes and how to make these and do that. And hopefully you're learning, if you're not a coffee connoisseur, that you're learning some, like right along with us, like some of these fun terms for.
Well, and the neat thing about this is when this podcast became a reality to us, we wanted this space to feel like it's a coffee and conversation space. And that's what we've created we just want to sit and have a conversation and talk to each other about life and motherhood and things that are going on. And so that's why we brought the coffee vibe in here.
I love it.
So
I love it. Coffee and conversation.
And well-grounded. Remember like when we were starting to talk about coffee grounds, we had all that going on
when we were like texting back and forth about naming this. It's so fun. It's been a really neat year. Yeah, really glad to be doing this with you, friend.
It is good.
This has been sweet. We have a great topic today, and Diane mentioned this at like the top when we were first starting, but another quick thing I was going to say is this Romans 8:28 theme seems very timely word right now.
Oh, right.
I'm seeing it everywhere. We've mentioned this in previous episodes, but I was like, is it just my phone?
Yeah.
Kind of because I'm researching it. Is it just showing me what I want to see? Like kind of the algorithm. But honestly, I got something in the mail that was like a newsletter from my child's college that was like, all things good.
I know.
I was like,
wait a minute.
What's happening here? Like, who's copying our stuff? I'm just kidding. It's a universal encouragement right now. So anyway.
Well, I really feel that when we prayed over this theme and we met and had our little retreat and things, that the Lord spoke to us too. So it's probably not a coincidence.
Right.
That,
one spirit.
Yes.
The unity in that. Yes. I love that.
It is just because the way things are in the world and what's going on with our lives and just the busyness of things that I think need this daily reminder that all things are good.
Taking that snapshot of the day, not getting overwhelmed with today, letting God work it out for the long haul. So,
definitely.
But I'm excited about this topic. So there's some things you're going to share that I've never heard before. Sometimes we are really structured with this and like have a great plan. And sometimes we're just talking.
And it's great.
You're as surprised as we are. But we have like the basic outline and we know what we want to talk about, but we're just going to let the Lord lead it. And you've got some good stuff.
For me, one of the things that when we were starting to think about this on the horizon for our family was our daughter Faith, who, if you remember, she was on our podcast last summer with Leanne's daughter Charlotte, and they spoke about how the transition from high school to college and college to graduating and different things. And Faith was just a recent college graduate. So fast forward a year, and Faith has been doing a lot of different things in her life, and she is just recently left our home and is now in Italy. And she is doing a job for a family there as what's called an au pair, which is supervising children and just a nanny or however you want to call it. And this was something that as she came forward to us, my husband and I, and she wanted to kind of pursue this dream and desire of her heart. She just kept talking to us more and more and more about how this has been something she's always wanted to do. Now, I'm going to say and be very honest, we didn't realize this was something she's always wanted to do. So that definitely had slipped through the cracks for us. But when we look back at her life and where God has led her, almost every single thing that she's done, whether it's a job, a summer job, things like that, has always involved children.
Right.
And so we got to thinking and saying, let's see, what is God doing right now? He's cultivating something. He is brewing Coffee pun. He is brewing something
Absolutely.
right now. Absolutely. So anyway, so when that was kind of on the horizon, we started talking about this theme. I said, well, I need to share a faith story because
absolutely.
now she's there living it. This is something, and I had asked her before she left, what is a verse that has just resonated with her throughout this whole time?
Right.
And really since probably college. This was her verse. It's from Psalms 32:8, and it says, I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. I will counsel you with my loving eye on you. And if Faith was here right now, she would say, and I think she actually shared this verse last summer, is the part about the loving eye. She always has felt God's presence when she is in his will. She has felt that peace and know that that's what God wants her to do. Right. And so when all the little things started lining up, and, you know, my husband and I can attest, we probably didn't pray for everything to work out right in the beginning because Italy is a really far space away from us right now. Yeah. But thank you for, you know, FaceTime and all the different WhatsApp and ways that we can connect. So we still can be connected, but we're just very, very excited for her and to see where God is going to lead her.
And I love that as just a launch for this conversation because the loving eye, if we're looking at whether it's our own plans and dreams or our kids' plans and dreams, how we're nurturing that, I think that's going to sort of be the main focus today is as parents. How do we step into that? How do we speak into that? How do we encourage and steer? Not just good luck with it, but also to have an influence, to have a godly influence, to have that prayerful protection over our kids that we all desire to have. But I love that Faith's go-to was that her Heavenly Father has love toward her. Why am I about to cry about this? But I just think that is such a great default to say, he wants my good. He is whatever this path. If it feels like you went into a ditch for a little bit or back onto it or whatever, things may not be perfectly smooth, but he's weaving that together, right? He's taking these interests of hers, and
the path always isn't just a straight line. Right. And I think we have to realize that it does go off and back. Right. And, you know, but when you are in the Word and you're believing that, and, you know, I'm so proud of Faith and how, you know, we kept saying to her, you have to pray about this. You have to pray about this. And she did. And she was every day, she was so diligent about that. And you know, that's why when all the pieces lined up, we kind of couldn't get upset about it at that point.
It's been vetted by the Holy Spirit. Yes, exactly. So I love that.
We kind of had to cheer her on instead of, you know, say, oops.
In all vulnerability, we as parents may not perfectly be like, oh, this is exactly what my child is going to be. They could spend 10 years saying they're going to be an orthodontist. And then take a hard right into a totally creative field or something like that, you know? So it's more of just that we're willing to go. We use this analogy a lot, like we're going toward a tree, but at the tree, you might see a path, 2 paths or whatever. So what we're doing as parents is applying logic, applying good wisdom, being supportive, listening, but also being willing to pivot with them. You know, that it may have taken a different turn.
And we're going to spend a little bit of time today talking about what you can do when your kids are young to even kind of hone in on those. You've got a great book you're going to bring up, you're going to share about and things. And I just think that it's never too early to start those things. You know, I think it's great.
Let me just jump into that. So one of the things we wanted to start with was with small children. We'll kind of like progress into the adult children kind of timeline. So with small children, one of the things, they are just such a sponge, right? And so introducing them to creative opportunities, giving them space to play and be creative. We have joked on this podcast about every family is going to be a little more structured, a little less structured, depending on, I think the trendy now is type A and type B moms. It's like a thing where the type B mom is like, Oh, we forgot a flip flop, and they're all over the place.
That would not be me.
No, not Diane. Not Diane. And I had like seasons of that, but depending on what was going on, like it was less stressful for me to be more structured and organized. I was definitely modeled. My mother had everything laid out the night before, and you got up that morning so you could just be ready. You know, I get that. And in certain seasons, that was a game changer for me. And in other times, I was like, we're going to roll through it because we didn't have a big schedule we had to worry about. But
which is nice about summer.
Yes, summer
is
or
a good way.
When your kids are little and you're able to be home with them or to have even vacation life, you know, as a family. So that is for sure the creative space. We both preach that.
Yeah.
As looking back as like, that really allowed our kids to be creative, to think, to come up with ideas. Yeah. It's just great for your brain. Your little brains just need to know that. And they do learn and memorize, and they are copying everything. Yeah. So being able to create that space. But a little research, I'm going to share the link for this. Yeah. But there's some research now about boredom. Okay, so we think about like when your kids are little, your job in life is to keep them busy, keep them active. You know, don't let them get bored because they might get into trouble or whatever the motive is. It's not necessarily a bad motive, but now we're seeing the brain science, and partly because of screens and the dopamine hit of playing the games on iPads or things. And I really want to emphasize, we're not coming from a place of judgment about this. I did a lot of things because they were the new technologies. And
absolutely.
My kids need to have this.
Yeah.
We want them to have this. Let's try this. This is so fun. This is so entertaining. But moving beyond that and seeing, now we do have a decade of research. Now we do have some things, and it's worth looking into it because there's a lot.
Yeah, it's just not hypotheticals anymore. There's actually some data.
We were kind of experimenting a little bit with when the new stuff came out, right? So now we have this evidence that a longer attention span, focusing on something for a longer period of time, with some boredom. Now it's really interesting. Jonathan Haidt, I think Haidt is how you say his name. It wrote The Anxious Generation, which is trending right now. Yeah. It is a bestseller. It is on my list to read. It's in my stack. We joke about our book stacks.
Our book
we buy those books, but do we read them all? So
they just look really good on my nightstand.
But there's a ton of clips of him being interviewed about this and talking about it. And he refers to some other things too in the book. I think being overprotective parents, but that felt a little personal, so I'm not going there right now. But he talks about like a touch of boredom. The research is showing allows your brain to flip into a more introspective and kind of think about like, how am I doing? How am I feeling? It's cool the way it heals you almost. Like we need that as humans. We need to be able to do some self-analysis, some life. How do I feel? How am I processing this? Yes. So anyway, that brain science. So The Anxious Generation by Jonathan Haidt, sorry, man, I'm not sure how to pronounce your name, is really has a lot of nuggets for that.
Well, and then, do you think I would boredom, or because I used to tell my children all the time that they had to have quiet time. We all had, I would call it the quiet hour. Yeah. And I put a timer on so they knew it wasn't going to be forever.
Right.
Because for them, an hour, it was always an hour in the afternoon.
It's not an arbitrary. There's
I
a
would
beginning
always
and an
say
end. That's
that
really
it
nice.
was also
Boundaries.
my time to just disconnect for a minute after a really busy day of parenting. You've had a busy morning. Maybe you went to the pool. You've done a lot of things, but this is just quiet time. Now, in that time, I would say was their boredom because they didn't have a planned activity or something they had to do. So they were usually in their room and they had to figure out something to do. Yeah. Was it reading? Was it just creative play? Was it something? And my kids would tell you that they actually enjoyed that.
Oh yeah.
I would usually, the timer would go off and I didn't have to tell them to stop. Right. They were just enjoying the moment.
Because it takes more than a minute to nestle into that. Yeah. And I think the boundary of knowing it's coming, we're going to do a structured thing, or we're going to be interacting. Also, siblings, a little break from, a little quiet from each other. Yes. A little less, turn that volume down on just.
We could start a trend. We could say it's not boredom. It's just quiet time.
Quiet time.
It's just quiet time.
I love quiet time so much.
I have it every day still.
Oh, yes. Yes. Siesta.
This is mom's quiet time.
The Floridians love siesta. So, but yeah, this is great. No, it's really, and I think for littles, we could even do a little side message us if you're having struggles. I've got a few tips on how to transition them when they're dropping a nap. and you want to have quiet time and they're escaping. Yeah. It does get better. It's a training thing. But anyway, that is not on our schedule today. I'm sorry.
But we've got so many different things. I know. We were even talking about like with little kids, like when someone has dreams and desires in their heart, if your child loves animals, take them to the zoo, take them outside to do things where they're like kind of immersed in that. If they love creativity, go and do an art class together. Just building up some of those things, like, you kind of see those gifts and talents that they have. Right. In Psalm 37:4, it says, delight yourself in the Lord and he will give you the desires of your heart. Mm-hmm. And as you are kind of training and nurturing, I love that word you used earlier about your children as they are growing up, whether they're young, middle school, high school, college, when you can use that verse as kind of your mental cue, it really does help them, but also you to realize that what is that desire of their heart? What can you see God using them for in their life?
And he's the creator. Yeah. So that leading into that and then pointing them back and saying, God gave you this. Yeah. He created the world for you. Mm-hmm. Let's explore it. Let's learn about it. And you're literally increasing their brain connections and synapse at the same time. Yeah.
And what's great is, we are in the thick of summer right now. And so this is the perfect time to do it. Go outside, go to the beach, be together, and look at God's creation, because I agree with you. It's all around. And when, I've mentioned back in our beginning of this season that a lot of times I will say the phrase, God is good all the time, and all the time God is good. And, you can see that in creation. You can see that around you, especially when you take that time to go and look at it. So I wanted to share. I wanted to share with you about. So if they are dream casting, or if you're reaching, like sometimes even, if your children are going to a youth camp in the summer, they have those kind of nights that they think about what are their goals, what are their desires and things. And so I asked my husband Tim, because he is great about goal setting with our businesses and people, and he had some great insight. And
I'm looking forward
to
this.
So.
I'm getting my pen out.
Yeah, right. Get your journals out and your pen. One of the things that he talks about is and you can relate this to any age. So when I'm going to share this, but it can be for any age. So right now for us, it's in a season of older kids. So when we talk about this to them, the questions and the things are probably a little bit more, hardcore, if you want to say, versus if they're a younger child. But you could do this when they're younger. So you kind of talk to them about creating what's called a SMART goal. And that's an acronym. S stands for specific. M stands for measurable. A stands for attainable. R stands for relevant. And T stands for time bound. And so when you're thinking about, okay, if you say your child is an athlete and they are wanting to make a team for the fall, and they need to probably set a goal. It's just not going to happen. And so you can help them create a SMART goal to set them up for success. And, it doesn't mean they're going to make the team, but they can have that desire in pursuing that. And so you can help them create, what is that specific goal? How can we measure it? Is it every day? Is it every week? How can you attain it? What can I do to help you? Like, this is where, as a parent,
partnering with them, and the steps. What I was thinking of when you mentioned going out for a team is, what steps do you need to have to be ready for that? Yeah. Your medical, the
paperwork.
Form. Yeah. Have you been exercising a little bit? Yeah. And getting ready, so the first week of conditioning doesn't, easing into it, moving them toward that. But that support, I love that. I love that. Didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
Then, you're carrying into what is it relevant? Like, is this the right time of life to do this? You probably can't become, an Olympic athlete if you haven't been an athlete for multiple years. I don't think I've ever heard of a story of someone just joining the Olympic team. It's their first time out. Is it a relevant goal?
The year before they decided, I think I'm going to be a swimmer now.
Yes. And then time-bound goals, does it make sense for your family and time? Because you have to take that into consideration. I mean, I love to be everyone's champion, but does it always make sense? If you have a little at home, you can't be in 4 places at once, so you kind of have to realize that.
We had a one sport, one musical instrument rule, but because Dan's a piano player, they had their musical instrument was the piano.
Yes.
They were like, oh, we didn't get to pick the instrument. No, it's piano. You're good. But it was also just math on how many activities can we do for when they were young. But I love that. I was thinking about the way that you're describing this with it's freedom, but with some boundaries.
Sure.
It's encourage you to be unique and to be an individual, but not to feel like you're just all over the place and it's not satisfying.
Yeah.
Oh, I tried this and I tried this. I tried this. We would say you may get halfway through an activity and not like it, but you have to finish the season of the commitment.
Sure.
But you don't have to play it again next year if you don't. Now everybody's parenting is different about that.
Yeah.
And there's we know our own kids, if they're just discouraged in general and they're dropping out of everything and you're like trying to make sure they're engaged and being okay.
Yeah.
But I love that. I love the asking questions idea because that is something you start young that they're used to. Hey, I'm going to have to answer questions about this because my parents expect that of me.
Yeah.
Set those expectations with them.
So the other part that goes to that is asking open-ended questions. So as your children get older, you can start asking them just a little bit different kind of a question. And so Tim is a master at this. And, everybody
He's
knows
done it
that.
to me, by the way. I'm like, I feel like I need a good answer.
Everybody
for this.
knows this now. So when Tim's on the table and he starts his questions, we're like, okay, we got to.
Maybe he was an attorney.
Yes, I know, right? But it is all good. And so like, for instance, when you're asking an open-ended question, you would say, what was the highlight of your day versus how was your day? You're going to get more of an answer.
You're right. That's a one-word answer. Good.
Yes.
Bad.
Fine.
Fine.
You don't really get much information. So when you say, what was a highlight of your day? They're going to have to think about it, number one, and then you could also say, what was a hard part of your day? So when you're having those conversations, whether that's in the car after you pick them up or driving somewhere or maybe around the dinner table, what does your life look like in 10 years? That gets everybody thinking, what dreaming, what do you want to do? Where do you want to see yourself? When you're 15 and you think, oh my gosh, I'm going to be 25 in 10 years. That's like decades away. When you're 40 and you're going to be 50, it seems like it's a very small amount of time.
It's so genius because they may be revealing kind of what's on their mind and heart. Because if they give you a relational answer, I'll be married or I'll be this or something, or do they give you a professional answer?
Yeah.
Or do they give you a locational geographic answer, like I'm going to live here or be doing this or something? That's incredible.
And
that's a good
one. It's really a neat thing. And I mean, you could literally ask your 5-year-old this and they'd be like, when I'm 15, I'll be driving, they think of such things, especially if they have siblings and they see them doing older things. It's kind of a fun question.
I love that.
When you dream big, what does big mean to you? So, you're asking them a question about, what is a big dream of yours? But they might be like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But then you think, well, what does the word big mean to you? And so it's like the next layer of questions. I think it does help foster that conversation.
So good.
So
good.
Then, there's some others, I'll probably put them in our show notes and things, but it's the open-ended question. Searching for that open-ended question, you're going to get a lot more information, especially and thought-provoking. It really just brings up a lot of things for them.
I want us to do a post about that too.
Yeah.
So, because we can share them in something they can screenshot then keep.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. We need to do that for sure.
And I know you had a book you wanted to share about.
I was going to tell you,
as
a teacher, there's two quick things. One is The Element by Ken Robinson, and he has a PhD in education and partnered with creative art schools and has been kind of a expert in this area. And really I think his main heart is nurturing the creative child that doesn't maybe fit into a traditional academic or educational system. Like, how do we do that? But one of the things that was a game changer for me as a parent and as a teacher was when I had that right-brained or creative kid, either in my family or in a classroom when I was teaching, was a lot of times if you feed the right brain first, and he has all the research with this, and we talked about it with art teachers and other things, the left brain will be able to take that leap forward. Right.
Yeah.
So we need them to do their math. We need them to do these academic subjects that maybe they're like, stressful or not interesting to them, but go ahead and let them lean in. And we did this with Charlotte, with our middle child, because she was so like just dreading the more academic kind of things when she was younger.
Yes.
And crying and I don't want to do it and I don't want to do it. But what we found was letting her listen to the book that she needed to read and draw while she was listening to it. She was actually able to absorb that while she was doing it. I don't know how she did that.
Yeah, at the same time.
It was incredible. But and then, so I highly recommend that book. It's been out for a while. He has several books, Ken Robinson, just some really interesting brain science on that with the creative kids. And then the other thing I wanted to just quickly, I'll do a fast version of this, but The Book Whisperer is another really good book. As a teacher, it was a teacher that shared her story. I think she was like, it was more for like 4th to 8th graders. Yeah. But I even applied it with my high school students. So we did what was called an independent reading project. And if you just say, you got to read books, you got to read books. And a kid who has not been doing that is a big jump into just, what am I supposed to read?
Yeah.
So one of the things, and it really relates back to what you were saying, is we need to help them select books. We want them to choose a book they want to read that's interesting to them, that's on a topic they like, but not just, here's the whole library, good luck. It's just like with future plans and dreams, right? Here's the whole world. Go be anything you want to be.
Yes.
That's actually kind of unkind.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we say it as to be supportive.
True.
But let's help them narrow down like what's realistically and a cool goal to go for.
Help them make a SMART goal.
Yes, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. And with that, we get to partner with them as the adults in their lives, as the parents in their lives.
Love that.
And we'll share some more about it. But Book Whisperer really was a game changer for me, of like, how do you set them up for success? Oh, go read for an hour or go read for 20 minutes. And they're like, what? What do I read? I don't like this. But
I should have had that when I had my kids, because that probably would have helped, because I had readers and I had non-readers with 4 kids.
And you just feel like you're fighting with the ones.
Of them,
I love reading.
Struggle.
Oh, please let me go read for an hour or 30 minutes.
That was definitely during some of their quiet times. It was like, well, you have to read for 20 minutes. And so I'm sure they probably just stared at the ceiling.
Yeah.
My non-readers were probably
I'm saying,
really,
like,
Mom?
I didn't know about this either, because somebody, actually a parent of one of my students gave me that book. So
what
anyway,
I love
those
about
are good
this
to share.
topic, and I think that, again, our whole goal with this podcast is to just spark your ideas, spark these thought processes, so that you can take that home to apply it to your family and things. And when we think about our theme verse this year and how we want to just apply that in our everyday life, God works together all things for those who love him and who are called according to his purpose. Right. And I think all those things, whether it's reading, whether it's dream building, whether it's being able to be that nurturing parent. And so when you're in the weeds and you feel like maybe you're a little bit downtrodden about things, just realize that he is still working in the good for you.
Yeah. And we really haven't even had a lot. This is for Romans 8:28. This episode is really purpose.
Sure.
The word purpose at the end of that verse, that he does have purpose for them. He has that for us, for our children.
Oh yeah.
And it's so freeing to say, I'm not trying to live vicariously through you.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to make you a little mini me.
Yeah.
I'm trying to walk alongside with you. And that starts young, and you're building it up. And we do have some things that we're like, that could have gone a little better if we knew about that. But now we're looking at it going, it is a hard thing.
Yeah.
So,
So we definitely have to wrap things up for today.
This was a good one. I feel like we throw this stuff out and we're like, have fun researching all this.
Yes. But we are excited. So be refreshed.
Be encouraged.
And stay well grounded.